Greetings once again, heroes and villains out there. Duuz-Diz-Din back with more My Hero Academia, as we're in the final chapters, the aftermath of the battle against All for One, Tomura Shigaraki. Last time we checked in on the Todoroki family, who visited Dabi, aka Toya, who is now in a massive life support tube and is slowly dying. How long he has left is left up in the air, but gonna be agonizing no matter what, and he can only speak for so long per day. Endeavor has decided to retire from heroing, on one part because of his injuries, and on another part to atone for everything that he's done, and to also come and talk with his son as much as possible. And naturally, Dabi spits this back at him, but Endeavor is determined to do what he feels that he needs to in order to not so much make things right, but at the very least try to make amends. As everyone goes to leave, Shoto finally tries to connect with his brother by asking him what his favorite food is. Dabi silently responds soba, and Shoto responds that that's his as well, showing the very first connection that they've ever gotten to have in their lives. While outside of the prison, Natsu doubles down, naturally, on the fact that he wants nothing to do with his father. He's getting married and he intends to never have his wife or any future kids probably meet with his father, and Endeavor accepts that. And while Fuyumi has quit her teaching job, more than likely because of the scandal, one of the parents of one of her students has managed to find her something else. Everyone has decided to move forward as best they can. Hawks is still in contact with Endeavor regularly, showing that they have more or less become friends to a certain degree. Although Hawks is very busy now as the new president of the Hero Public Safety Commission. Lady Nagant has been pardoned, mostly because of a lot of the events that led up to what she did. With a lot of that now being known, it's easier to kind of forgive her, and the part she played in the final battle, as well as the time she's already served, has probably helped her, get out on good behavior and all that. But Lady Nagant has chosen to continue staying locked up, still afraid of what being outside could do to her or what she might see. She'd rather see how things change in the world before she even fathoms venturing out. Gentle has been released and is reunited with La Brava, a happy reunion to say the least, and Spinner, still in the hospital, as a visitor. Who will we check in next? Join me as I find out. Told you. Alright, My Hero Academia number 427. Who was Tomura Shigaraki really? One man says, he was one terrifying fellow. Thank goodness he was defeated. An office worker, age 35. We have two students, both 21. One says, my friend got killed, but by that vicious murderer. Honestly, this blows. My life's like totally messed up now. The other one with her says, also my house was destroyed. Housewife, age 70, says, I can't help but wonder if they couldn't have stopped him sooner. Restaurant owner, age 30, says, look, everyone thought that freak was a 2-bit punk at first. Nobody expected him to turn into such a threat, right? We have a news report going on saying, though the restoration is moving along at a brisk pace thanks to an outpouring of international support and volunteers. You even see Death Arms helping out. I think that's him at least. Those efforts have yet to reach some parts of the nation. The mountains of rubble yet to be cleared show the widespread extent of the damage. A great number of citizens had their lives turned upside down by the unprecedented wave of terrorism cited by the League of Villains. Who exactly was the League's leader, Tomura Shigaraki? Find out now in part 2 of this special report. We then pick up with Spinner, meeting with Deku, probably to tell Shigaraki's last words. The doctor tells Deku he was in the process of becoming a full-fledged Nomu as his body was unable to withstand multiple quirks like body bulk and scale mail. However, thanks to great strides we've made in Nomu research, just barely managed to halt that process before it had progressed too far. Spinner angrily says, pretty shameless of you to strut on in here, murderer. Deku says, I'm not here to deny that, only to deliver Shigaraki's parting words. Spinner angrily says, oh yeah? Here to kick a guy when he's down? You're one sick puppy, you know? Deku thinks of Shigaraki's words. Spinner survived, tell him this. Deku tells him, you survived, but here's the message. Even to the bitter end, Tomura Shigaraki kept fighting to destroy. Spinner, confused, questions, huh? Shigaraki told you to say that. Deku says yes, to you, Spinner. Spinner questions, me? Toga and Dalby too, yeah? And Compress? Deku reiterates, no, only you. Spinner is stunned. He then speaks, Shigaraki was my shining hope. With a smile, he said he would destroy everything. He transformed Deka into a gnarly crater. He represented me in my voice. Spinner starts to transform, saying, when I was oppressed for who I am, I was ready to give up on life. I'm just some stinking heteromorph after all. Spinner starts to bulk out, thinking, no, stop. I decided not to dwell on that crap. Too painful to think back on. As Spinner's head touches the ceiling, he says that he gave a guy like me a dream to cling to. I'd hoped for a major change. I dreamt I could be somebody. The doctor gets ready to press a button saying, you don't have to put up with this from him. If need be, I can subdue. But Deku simply holds out a hand, not breaking eye contact with Spinner. Spinner grabs him in his massive hands. He tells Deku, Tomura Shigaraki was my hero. Cut to another person on the report saying, destroying the world just for the heck of it? That ain't a worthy cause, just a temper tantrum without a lick of sense behind it. Spinner's eyes filled with tears as he says he was a gamer. Another interviewer says, the ongoing investigation by the authorities is revealing that the man had quite the tragic past. Bringing out the root cause matters, sure, but let's not turn this into some sob story, or else sympathizers might be converted to the cause all over again. Spinner says, the whole time I was a shut-in, video games were all I had, and he was also a fan of all my faves. Another interviewee says, it has to be said, and we've got to say it with our whole heart, so allow me. That guy was a piece of crap. Spinner says, was my very first friend. Deku, still looking Spinner in the eye, says, Shigaraki told me he needed to be a hero to you all. The League of Villains held a special place in his heart. As Spinner calms down and shrinks back to his normal size, Deku tells him, sure he felt the same way about you as you did him, which is why I think he wanted to let you know. Spinner closes his eyes and thinks to himself, I caught up in the frenzy, and at some point, I stopped dwelling on the idea that we were past the point of no return. I've always been too slow on the uptake. If only I'd taken one more step, then just maybe I could have saved my hero and friend. The report continues on, and maybe the next Tomura Shigaraki or All for One is out there waiting with bated breath. You have to keep an eye out for the next threat. Deku goes to leave. Spinner sits back in his chair and says, you bunch are gonna keep fighting, right? Deku turns his attention back to Spinner. Spinner tells him, sooner or later, I bet you'll forget all about Tomura Shigaraki and the League. The smiles and good times for you. I'm gonna write a book. One about Tomura Shigaraki, the symbol of fear. About how the League of Villains live to destroy. A book that'll stick it to you heroes forever and ever. With a bitter look, Spinner doesn't break eye contact, saying, past never dies. And I'll spin the tale of Tomura Shigaraki. Deku reaches for the door, turning away, saying, make it a comic book. Spinner questions, huh? Deku turns back to him, serious look in his eyes, saying, don't worry, I won't ever forget. Spinner brushes it off, saying, I got a message too. Tell your octopus pal to give life all he's got. Deku comes out to the waiting room, where Tsukuuchi and a wheel-bound shared All Might wait for him. All Might questioned, how'd it go, kid? You pass on the message? Deku smiles, saying, yeah. Tsukuuchi then tells him, regarding your quest about Chisaki. Then cut to the prison, where Chisaki is meeting with his old mentor. Through a thick-plated glass in the meeting room, the boss says, what a sorry state you're in. The overhaul, shocked, says, boss, you're never supposed to come out of that coma. Boss says, you mean what your quirk did to me? Too bad for you. They're making huge strides with support items these days, and I ain't your boss. The gang is done and gone. Overall slams his head against the glass, saying, boss. The boss, silent fury in his eyes, says, I said to never stray from the path of humanity. Now look how you wound up. I was always there reaching out with a guiding hand, teaching you not to head down the wrong path. I'm guessing Kurono never talked back and took you to task, huh? Tears fill Overhaul's eyes. Face still pressed up against the glass as he says, sorry, boss. Boss tells him, too little, too late. It's Eri who deserves a lifetime of your sorrows anyhow. Nah, that girl will go on and forget all about you. But don't you dare forget what you put her through. Make no mistake, I'll be taking you to task till the day you go to hell. Damn. Man, this manga made sure that Overhaul was a sorry piece of crap right up until the end, huh? As Deku wheels All Might out with Tsukuchi on the side, Deku says, "Thank you, Detective Tsukuchi." Tsukuchi says, "Of course, this is a much better option than making Eri relive that nightmare." Deku thinks, "What can we do to make it all stop for good?" Tsukuchi tells him, "Not going to stop." "Well, we could ask Hawks to drum up an army's worth of heroes." Deku questions, "Huh? Hawks wields that kind of power?" Tsukuchi says, "Just joking." Okay, it took me a while to process what was being said here, but I guess the students are saying, "Look sharp, frowns upside down, people. The new first years are joining our lesson today, so we can't be all doom and gloom around them. But we'll barely see them going forward. There's not much contact between grade levels in the hero curse." And the first years are swarming Bakugo and Todoroki, saying, "Todoroki, oh my god, it's dynamite! Can I get your contact info? I'm a huge fan. You're so awesome, Squee." Oh, yeah. "Let me take a selfie with you." Oh, the fleeing Todoroki says, "What on earth?" While Bakugo shouts, "Expel them all right now!" Deku freaks out, saying these first years are intense. And even Mineta has an unnerved look on his face. See, I feel like some people will have mixed feelings about how this all ends, but I kind of love it because nothing ends neatly, and it shouldn't. The idea of Spinner hearing all this Reddit shit from people who just want to dismiss Tomura, and even when people try to talk about the past of Tomura, others are just like, "No, we don't want sympathizers." But no, you need to understand where this person came from so that you can make sure this doesn't happen again. By dismissing Tomura altogether and all out, you could potentially cause there to be another Tomura. And it might lead to more zealots like Tomura should Spinner make his book, but at the same time, Spinner is probably the best person to make a book about Tomura, telling their side of things. And I don't think Spinner will shy away from the bitter details. And Spinner so much wants to think that Deku thinks less of Tomura, will forget about him, dismiss him, go on with his life, just forget. And Deku is doing his damnedest to treat Spinner with the utmost respect at every turn. Like, no, I'm not here to look down on you. I'm here to relay a message. He outright doesn't shy away from, yes, I killed Tomura Shigaraki. I could not save him. I led to his death, plain and simple. Tomura Shigaraki died. Through Deku's own actions, he killed Tomura Shigaraki. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I love the fact that Deku doesn't shy away from that. He understands that fully. This isn't something he's gonna forget about. This is something that will probably drive him forward in the next few chapters that we see, probably for the rest of his life. Honestly speaking, it almost feels like a joint venture from two opposing sides, with Spinner and Deku on the life of Tomura would probably be what's best, because they could probably do what they can to make sure a situation like Tomura could never happen again. Because yeah, All For One caused so much of this, but at the same time, others making the wrong choices, the wrong plays, not handling things properly also contribute to this. They contribute to the entirety of the league. Tomura was the hero of villains, and people really need to take a close look at why that happened. Kind of like, I shouldn't relate it to this, but it is kind of like that situation. Why people like the leaders of the Taliban and all that are able to get the kind of support that they get. What can make people choose to ally and do so many terrible things? People aren't just inherently evil. It comes from someplace. A bitterness, a resentment, a hatred, a feeling of being put down, of not being able to achieve what you could achieve if there weren't people standing in your way. It's not an excuse for what they do, but never dismiss the reasoning as to why they do what they do. I actually kind of appreciate that there was no happy moment for Overhaul, that the idea of Eri just moving on with her life, being able to treat this as just a bad moment that she's able to move past. Because the thing is, Overhaul never felt any sympathy towards Eri. Even now, he feels nothing towards what he did to Eri. That's the biggest difference between the two types of abusers that Endeavor and Overhaul were. Endeavor was able to see his mistakes and change for the better, whereas Overhaul, he keeps seeing that he let down the person he looked up to, that he still harmed, and he apologizes to them. But even the boss is saying, you should be apologizing to Eri, not to me. That's even what Deku said. And yet, Overhaul never even spares Eri a thought. He only ever saw her as a thing to be used. He didn't change, he didn't grow, and thus he is left to rot. I am curious if we'll have some kind of time skip though, but at the same time, I also like that they are saying that some places, some areas haven't been fixed up. Probably places of lower income, seen as lower importance. There's probably tons of displaced people out there. There's an interestingly large amount of social commentary here that I gotta say, good on Horikoshi from not shying away from the aftermath of all of this. Some things get back to normal, and some things get ignored. And it's obvious that Deku is trying his best not to ignore any of these things, because that could just breed another Tomura. Again, All For One isn't around anymore. You never know. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.